First contact. The quantum fluctuation detector shouldn't have been beeping. Dr. Sarah Chen frowned at the handheld device, tapping its scratched casing as if that might correct what had to be a malfunction. Research Station Omega-7, hanging in orbit around the gas giant Kepler 447 bits, rarely picked up anything more exciting than standard particle decay. Yet here she was, staring at readings that suggested something was manipulating quantum fields on the moon's surface below. Control, are you seeing this? Sarah adjusted her atmosphere suit's comlink, the familiar weight of the xenobiology equipment in her backpack suddenly feeling inadequate for whatever lay ahead. Confirmed, Doctor. We're tracking similar anomalies from up here. Energy signature is, well, we've never seen anything quite like it. Sarah checked her suit's integrity one final time before stepping out of the survey shuttle. The moon's thin atmosphere of nitrogen and methane swirled with iridescent particles, a phenomenon that had drawn research teams here in the first place. But today, those particles seemed to be moving with purpose, flowing like rivers of light toward something just beyond the horizon. I'm going to follow the particle flow, she reported, activating her suit's magnetic boots to keep herself anchored against the low gravity. Something's directing these quantum fields. This isn't random decay. The landscape around her was a maze of silicon formations, crystal spires that caught the gas giant's reflected light and scattered it in prismatic displays. Under normal circumstances, Sarah would have stopped to collect samples, but the quantum detector's insistent beeping drew her forward. She crested a ridge and stopped dead in her tracks. In a valley below, sprawled across a bed of crystalline structures, lay something impossible. It was like a dragon from Earth's mythology, but formed from what appeared to be living crystal and quantum light. Its body stretched nearly 30 meters, with wings that seemed to phase in and out of reality itself. Where a normal creature would have scales, this being had crystalline facets that pulsed with complex mathematical patterns. And it was clearly wounded. A great crack ran along its side, leaking what looked like liquid light. "Control," Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible even to herself. "Are you getting this?" Static answered her. The quantum fluctuations were probably interfering with communications. She was on her own. The creature's head turned toward her, and Sarah found herself staring into eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies. They were multidimensional, shifting between states of matter and energy in a way that made her brain hurt to observe directly. To her surprise, she wasn't afraid. There was intelligence in those eyes. And pain. Sarah took a step forward, then another. The creature made no aggressive moves. Instead, it emanated patterns of light that her quantum detector interpreted as complex mathematical sequences. Prime numbers. The Fibonacci sequence. Universal constants. It was trying to communicate. Sarah pulled out her tablet and quickly coded a response, using her detector to modulate the quantum fields around her in a similar pattern. She sent back the same sequences, adding Earth's gravitational constant as a signature. The dragon's crystalline structure brightened. More patterns emerged, and Sarah gasped as she recognized them. They were DNA sequences, but unlike anything in Earth's genetic database. The creature was showing her its own code. Moving closer, Sarah could now see that the crack in its side wasn't just physical damage. Something had disrupted the quantum fields that held its very being together. Dark matter radiation, perhaps, or something even more exotic. She reached into her pack and pulled out her xenobiology scanner. The creature watched her movements with those galaxy eyes, continuing to pulse with mathematical patterns. Sarah's tablet translated them into more recognizable forms. Wave functions, quantum entanglement matrices, things that shouldn't be possible for a biological entity to manipulate so directly. "I want to help," she said aloud, knowing the words meant nothing but hoping her intent would carry through. She held up her scanner, then pointed to the wound. The dragon's light patterns shifted, became more focused. Sarah's scanner interfaced with her tablet, and suddenly she understood. The creature's biology was based on quantum computation. It wasn't just alive. It was a living quantum computer, infinitely more complex than anything humans had managed to build. And its wand was essentially corrupted code, spreading through its quantum matrix. Working quickly, Sarah modified her scanner to emit targeted quantum fields that might help stabilize the corruption. It was like trying to debug a computer program while simultaneously performing surgery, but something in her understood what needed to be done. The dragon's own patterns guided her, teaching her even as she worked to heal it. Hours passed. Sarah lost track of time, lost in the complex dance of quantum fields and mathematical patterns. Her suit's oxygen reserves beeped a warning. But she was almost done. The corruption was contained, the quantum fields starting to reestablish their proper patterns. The dragon's light grew stronger, more coherent. It lifted its crystalline head, and Sarah felt rather than heard its gratitude. But there was something else. Urgency, warning, purpose. New patterns filled her tablet's screen, and Sarah's hands began to shake as she translated them. They weren't just mathematical sequences anymore. They were star maps, gate coordinates, and at the center of it all, Earth. The dragon was a guardian, she realized, part of an ancient network of quantum beings watching over the galaxy, and they had been waiting for humanity to reach this point, to make this connection. Because humans, her tablet's translations revealed, were unique. Something in our consciousness, in our very nature, resonated with the quantum field in ways no other biological species could match. We weren't just random inhabitants of a backwater planet. We were next in line to become guardians ourselves. Control, Sarah tried again, and this time her calm crackled to life. You're not going to believe what I found. But more importantly, it's found us. The dragon rose to its full height, its wings spreading into dimensions Sarah's eyes couldn't quite process. Above them, the iridescent particles in the atmosphere swirled faster, forming patterns that matched the star maps on her tablet. This wasn't just a discovery, it was an invitation, and humanity's next great adventure was about to begin. The Neural Bridge. Research Station Omega-7's quarantine lab had never been designed to contain a quantum entity. Sarah watched through the reinforced observation window as the crystalline dragon filled the massive chamber with shifting patterns of light, its movements causing ripples in reality itself. 3 days had passed since their first contact, and she still couldn't quite believe what her instruments were telling her. The neural interface is ready, Dr. Chen, announced Dr. Patel, her colleague in xenoneurology. But I must again express my concerns about attempting direct communication. We have no precedent for connecting human consciousness to a quantum-based life form. Sarah adjusted the neural cap on her head, checking its connections one final time. Noted, Raj. But you've seen the data. It's been trying to interface with our consciousness since we brought it aboard. The mathematical patterns, the quantum field manipulations, they're all attempts at communication. The dragon turned its multidimensional gaze toward her, and Sarah felt the now familiar resonance in her mind. Since healing its quantum matrix, the connection between them had grown stronger. She could sense its thoughts at the edge of her consciousness, like mathematics trying to reshape itself into human concepts. Beginning neural bridge sequence, Raj announced, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Remember, at the first sign of cognitive distress, I'm pulling you out. Sarah took a deep breath as the interface activated. The world around her blurred, transformed. She was no longer standing in the observation room. She was everywhere at once. Her consciousness expanded through quantum fields that connected every particle in existence. The dragon's presence met her there, in that space between spaces. Its thoughts weren't words or even images, but pure concepts transmitted through quantum entanglement. Sarah's human mind struggled to translate them into understanding. We are the quantum nexus, came the first coherent thought. We guard the threads that bind reality together. Images flooded Sarah's consciousness. Vast networks of crystalline beings like her dragon spread across the galaxy. They were living quantum computers, processing reality itself, maintaining the delicate balance of existence. Some took different forms, not all were dragon-like. but all were part of the same ancient network. How long? Sarah managed to think back. How long have you been watching us? Since the first spark of consciousness on your world. We saw your potential. Humans exist in quantum superposition naturally. Your consciousness operates on quantum principles in ways no other biological species has achieved. You write quantum equations into your art, your music, your dreams, never knowing what you do. The revelation staggered Sarah. Is that why our technology advanced so quickly? Why we seem to intuitively understand quantum mechanics despite its apparent impossibility? Yes, the dragon's thoughts carried a sense of pride, of anticipation. You were meant to join us, but there are others who would prevent this. New images filled Sarah's mind. Dark shapes moving between the stars, entities that consumed quantum information, reducing ordered reality to chaos. They were drawn to consciousness like moths to flame, and Earth's awakening quantum potential had attracted their attention. The corruption in your matrix, Sarah realized. It wasn't an accident. No, we are under attack. The entropy swarm seeks to prevent new quantum species from emerging. They fear what humanity might become. The neural interface crackled with warning signals. Sarah felt Raj's concern through the monitoring systems, but she pressed on. Why tell us now? Why reveal yourself? The dragon's response came with overwhelming urgency. Because we are failing. The old networks are breaking down. We need new guardians, new perspectives. Humanity's unique quantum consciousness could be the key to our survival, and yours. Suddenly, alarms blared through the station. Sarah's consciousness snapped back to her physical body, the neural interface automatically disconnecting. Through the observation window, she saw the dragon's crystalline form flaring with intense light. Multiple ships just dropped out of FTL. Raj shouted, reading the emergency displays. They're not responding to hails, and their quantum signatures are. They're like void spaces in reality itself. The entropy swarm, Sarah whispered. They followed us. The dragon's voice resonated directly in her mind, their brief neural connection having established a permanent link. They cannot be allowed to reach Earth. Not before humanity awakens to its potential. Sarah rushed to the observation window, pressing her hand against its surface. The dragon mirrored her gesture with its crystalline form, and she felt quantum fields surge between them. How? She asked, both aloud and in her mind. How do we awaken this potential? Through resonance, came the reply. What you would call quantum entanglement. But it requires trust, connection, the breaking of barriers between our forms of consciousness. More alarms. The station's defenses were activating, but Sarah knew they would be useless against beings that could corrupt quantum fields themselves. She made her decision. Raj, open the quarantine chamber. Sarah, no. We don't know what full contact with its quantum field could do to human consciousness. We don't have time to find out safely, she replied, already moving toward the chamber's entrance. Sometimes you have to take a quantum leap of faith. The doors slid open, and Sarah stepped into the chamber. The dragon's quantum field enveloped her, and she felt her consciousness expanding once again. But this time, there was no interface to moderate the connection. This was direct contact between human consciousness and quantum reality. As the first enemy ships approached the station, Sarah Chen became something more than human, something that existed in superposition between flesh and quantum computation. And through her transformation, she began to understand why the entropy swarm feared humanity's potential so much. Because once humans learned to access their quantum consciousness, there would be no going back. Evolution would take a new path, one that led to the stars themselves. The battle for humanity's quantum awakening was about to begin. The awakening. The sensation of existing in multiple states simultaneously was indescribable. Sarah's consciousness stretched across quantum fields, her thoughts moving at the speed of entanglement. Through her connection with the crystalline dragon, she could sense the approaching entropy swarm ships as wounds in reality, places where quantum information simply ceased to exist. Station defenses are useless. She communicated to Raj, her voice resonating through quantum fields rather than air. They're not just chips, they're collapse points in spacetime itself. The dragon's consciousness merged with hers, sharing knowledge accumulated across eons. The swarm seeks to reduce all reality to its simplest state. They are the embodiment of entropy, the endless descent into chaos. Your species represents the opposite, the spontaneous emergence of quantum order from biological systems. Through the station's windows, Sarah watched the void ships approach. They were anti-geometric, shapes that hurt the mind to perceive, like holes cut into the fabric of existence. The station's crew rushed to battle stations, but conventional weapons would be meaningless against such entities. How do we fight them? Sarah asked, feeling the dragon's quantum field pulse in response to her thoughts. We don't fight. We resonate. Understanding flooded through their shared consciousness. The dragon hadn't sought healing on that moon by accident. It had been waiting, calculating the precise moment when human quantum potential could be awakened. Sarah was the catalyst, but she wasn't meant to be the only one. Raj, she called out, her voice carrying through both conventional communications and quantum fields. Get every crew member to the central hub. Now. Sarah, what's happening to you? His voice cracked with concern. Your molecular structure is shifting. I'm becoming what we were always meant to be. She moved through the station's corridors, her form flickering between physical and quantum states. The dragon followed, its crystalline body passing through walls as if they were mist. Humanity's consciousness has always operated on quantum principles. We just needed the right key to unlock it. The station shuddered as the first void ship attacked, its weapon not firing energy, but rather absence itself. Where the beam struck, reality began to simplify, quantum complexity reducing to classical physics. Crew members converged on the central hub, their faces showing mixtures of fear and awe as they beheld Sarah and the dragon. Through her expanded consciousness, Sarah could see the quantum potential in each of them. Minds already operating on principles that defied classical physics, waiting only for the right resonance to awaken. Everyone join hands, she instructed, her form now blazing with the same crystalline light as the dragon. Don't think. Feel the connections between particles, the superposition of states that exists in every atom of your being. The dragon positioned itself at the center of their circle, its quantum field expanding to encompass them all. Sarah felt the crew's confusion turn to wonder as their consciousness began to expand. Humans had always been capable of this. It was why meditation could alter quantum states, why observation collapsed wave functions, why consciousness itself seemed to defy physical laws. The void ship struck again, entropy weapons eating away at the station's quantum structure. But where their influence reached the awakened humans, it found not chaos but deepening order. You understand now. The dragon communicated to them all. Why they fear you. Biological systems should tend toward entropy, toward disorder. But human consciousness does the opposite. It creates patterns, meaning, quantum complexity. You are an impossibility that proves reality can evolve. Through their shared quantum field, Sarah felt the crew's awakening accelerate. One by one, their consciousness expanded beyond physical limitations, joining the quantum network that the crystalline beings had maintained for so long. But this was different. Human consciousness brought something new to the equation. We don't just maintain quantum fields, Sarah realized, watching patterns of possibility unfold in her expanded awareness. We generate them, create them. Our art, our music, our stories. They're all quantum algorithms expressing themselves through classical matter. The void ships surrounded the station, their entropy weapons intensifying. But with each attack, the awakened humans' quantum field grew stronger. They weren't just resisting entropy. They were reversing it, creating new patterns of order that even the dragons hadn't imagined possible. Yes, the dragon's thoughts resonated with pride. This is why you were chosen. Not to maintain the existing order, but to create new ones, to evolve quantum reality itself. Sarah felt the truth of it in every quantum superposition of her being. Humanity's creativity, our endless drive to find and create patterns, our ability to imagine new possibilities, these weren't just characteristics of our species. They were expressions of our quantum nature, our ability to enhance the complexity of reality itself. The entropy swarm struck with their full power, seeking to reduce the station and its inhabitants to their simplest possible states. But they found something unprecedented: human consciousness, fully awakened to its quantum potential, working in harmony with the ancient network of crystalline guardians. And as the battle for Research Station Omega-7 reached its crescendo, Sarah Chen and her crew prepared to show the universe why humanity's quantum awakening was not just an event, but the beginning of a new epoch in the evolution of consciousness itself. The station's quantum field blazed like a newborn star, and the real battle for reality's future was about to begin. The choice. Research Station Omega-7 had become a quantum nexus, its human crew existing in a state of superposition between classical and quantum reality. Through their expanded consciousness, Sarah and her colleagues could see the fundamental patterns of existence, and the void ships of the entropy swarm attempting to unravel them. They're trying to establish a quantum isolation field, Sarah communicated through the crew's shared consciousness. They want to cut us off from the broader quantum network. The dragon's crystalline form pulsed with urgent patterns. If they succeed, Earth will be vulnerable. The quantum awakening must spread beyond this station. Through their enhanced perception, Sarah could see the truth of their situation. The station had become a focal point of quantum possibility, a place where human consciousness had first learned to fully express its inherent quantum nature. But it was also a beacon, drawing more of the entropy swarm with each passing moment. Why Earth? Raj asked through the quantum field, his consciousness resonating with the question, of all the worlds in the galaxy, why did we develop this potential? The dragon shared images through their connection. Earth's unique position in space, its peculiar magnetic field, the precise mix of elements in its biosphere. Your world exists at a quantum crossroads. The very geometry of your solar system creates standing waves in reality's quantum field. Life on Earth didn't just evolve through chemical processes, it evolved through quantum ones. Sarah watched as the void ships began their next attack, their entropy weapons trying to reduce the station's quantum complexity to zero. But the awakened humans weren't just resisting. They were learning, adapting, creating new quantum states that even the dragon hadn't imagined possible. We need to make a choice, Sarah realized, seeing possibilities branch out through quantum probability space. We can either contain this awakening, keep it hidden until we're stronger, or we can broadcast it to Earth now, knowing the swarm will follow. The implications resonated through their shared consciousness. Containing the awakening might be safer in the short term, giving humanity time to develop its quantum abilities gradually. But it would also leave Earth vulnerable, unaware of both its potential and the threats gathering in the quantum dark. There is another factor, the dragon communicated, its thoughts tinged with ancient memory. The quantum network is failing. We crystalline beings have maintained reality's complexity for eons, but we cannot adapt quickly enough to the swarm's new tactics. We need humanity's creativity, your ability to generate new quantum patterns spontaneously, through the station's sensors, now enhanced by quantum perception. Sarah detected more void ships emerging from quantum space. The swarm was gathering its forces, preparing to isolate and reduce this focal point of new quantum complexity. "Show me," Sarah commanded, and the dragon opened its memories fully to her consciousness. She saw the history of the quantum network, crystalline beings emerging from the quantum foam of early spacetime, establishing patterns that allowed complexity to flourish in a universe that should tend toward simplicity. She saw them discovering Earth, recognizing the unique quantum properties of its emerging life. And she saw their gradual decline as the entropy swarm grew stronger, reality itself slowly unwinding despite their efforts. But she also saw hope. Human consciousness didn't just maintain quantum patterns, it created new ones. Every piece of music, every work of art, every story ever told was actually a quantum algorithm, adding to reality's complexity in ways the crystalline beings never could. Humanity's creativity wasn't just cultural, it was fundamental to reality itself. We broadcast, Sarah decided, feeling the crew's agreement resonate through their quantum field, not just to Earth, but to every human consciousness we can reach. The swarm is coming whether we hide or not. At least this way, humanity has a chance to wake up before they arrive. It will change your entire civilization, the dragon warned. Once human consciousness awakens to its quantum nature, there is no returning to classical existence. Sarah smiled, her form shifting through multiple quantum states. Change is what humans do best. We take chaos and create pattern, take entropy and generate complexity. It's time we understood why. The crew joined their consciousness fully with the dragon's quantum field, their combined awareness reaching toward Earth. Through quantum entanglement, they could touch every human mind, plant the seeds of awakening in dreams and inspiration. The void ships closed in, their entropy weapons powering up to maximum. The swarm would try to stop the transmission, to prevent humanity's quantum awakening from spreading. But they had never faced human consciousness operating at its full potential. And as Sarah Chen and her crew prepared to broadcast the key to humanity's quantum nature, she understood why the entropy swarm feared them so much. Because humans didn't just resist entropy. We danced with it, turned it into art, found patterns in chaos itself. And once we fully awakened to our quantum nature, not even the fundamental forces of reality would remain unchanged. The transmission began, and with it, the next phase of human evolution sparked to life across the Earth. The universe would never be the same. The emergence, the quantum transmission rippled across space-time, carrying the seeds of awakening to every human mind on Earth. Through their expanded consciousness, Sarah and the crew of Research Station Omega-7 felt the first stirrings of response. Billions of human minds beginning to resonate with their true quantum nature. But the entropy swarm struck with devastating force. Their void ships surrounded the station in a perfect sphere of anti-reality, their weapons no longer seeking to simply reduce complexity, but to sever this point in space-time completely from the quantum fabric of existence. They're trying to create a causality break, Sarah realized, her consciousness intertwined with both the crew and the crystalline dragon. If they can't stop the transmission, they'll try to make it so it never happened. Yes, the dragon's thoughts carried ancient knowledge, but they don't understand what they face. Human consciousness doesn't just participate in quantum reality, it generates it. Show them. Through their quantum-enhanced perception, Sarah watched as the first waves of awakening reached Earth. It started with the dreamers, artists, musicians, scientists whose minds already danced along the edges of quantum possibility. In their sleep, in moments of inspiration, they began to access their full quantum potential. The swarm's entropy field pressed inward, reality simplifying around the station. But Sarah and her crew were no longer just maintaining their quantum state. They were creating new ones, possibilities that had never existed before. Look, Raj's consciousness pulsed with excitement. The quantum field, it's not just resisting entropy, it's evolving. Sarah saw it too. The human capacity for imagination, for creating new patterns and possibilities, was expressing itself through quantum mechanics, where the swarm reduced reality to its simplest state. Awakened human consciousness responded by generating entirely new forms of complexity. The dragon's crystalline form blazed with understanding. This is why we waited. Why we watch humanity develop. You don't simply use quantum mechanics, you improve upon it. Every story you tell, every song you sing, every dream you dream adds new dimensions to reality itself. Through their expanded awareness, they felt more humans awakening with each passing moment. Scientists suddenly understood their quantum equations on an intuitive level. Artists found themselves painting in probability waves. Musicians heard the quantum harmonies underlying reality itself. The swarm pressed harder, their entropy weapons straining to reduce all to chaos. But chaos, Sarah realized, was just another word for infinite possibility. And possibility was what humans did best. Everyone, she called through their quantum link, stop trying to fight the entropy. Dance with it instead. The crew understood instantly. Instead of resisting the swarm's attempts to simplify reality, they began to use that simplification as raw material for new complexity. Where entropy created void, they filled it with possibility. Where patterns broke down, they created new ones. The dragon's consciousness resonated with joy. Yes, this is what we hoped for. Not warriors against entropy, but artists of reality itself. The void ships faltered, their weapons having an effect opposite to what was intended. The more they tried to reduce reality to its simplest state, the more raw quantum potential they created for awakened human consciousness to work with. And now the effect was spreading. Across Earth, millions of humans were beginning to access their quantum nature. Each awakened mind added new layers of complexity to reality, not by fighting entropy, but by transforming it into art, into story, into song. Sarah felt the moment the swarm realized their mistake. They had thought to prevent humanity's quantum awakening, but in doing so, they had provided exactly the catalyst needed to spark it. Their entropy weapons had created a canvas for human quantum consciousness to paint upon. It is time, the dragon communicated. The old network of crystalline guardians will join with humanity's new quantum consciousness. We will not just maintain reality's complexity. We will help it evolve. The entropy swarm retreated, their void ships disappearing into quantum space. But they left behind something precious. The understanding that entropy itself was not an enemy to be fought, but a source of infinite potential waiting to be shaped by conscious intention. Research Station Omega-7 hung in space, now a beacon of quantum possibility. Sarah Chen and her crew had become the first of a new kind of human, not just awakened to their quantum nature, but actively participating in the evolution of reality itself. What happens now? Raj asked, his consciousness resonating through quantum fields that now sang with human creativity. Sarah smiled, her form shifting through multiple states of being. Now we do what humans have always done. We explore, we create, we dream. But we do it knowing that our dreams shape reality itself. The crystalline dragon's form pulsed with quantum light. And we will dream with you. The network of quantum guardians and human consciousness, working together to write the next chapter of reality's story. Across Earth, humans were awakening to find the universe both stranger and more wonderful than they had imagined. The age of classical physics was ending, and a new epoch of quantum consciousness was beginning. And in the quantum fields between the stars, reality itself waited to see what patterns humanity would dream into existence next. The end.